I just knew it was going to end like that. She'll do the Defying Gravity song. She'll smash out of that window, which we keep seeing in every single trailer, and then that'll be it. She'll fly off on her broom, and then they'll just go close, and it'll be like, come back for part two to see whatever else happened. I know, boy, wasn't that a great movie? Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're obviously going to be doing the Wicked review. To start, I would like to say that I found this movie to be so good. 10 out of 10, the best movie of the year, I would say so. Ariana Grande and Cynthia Erivo are both amazing here in their respective roles. And it's a great support cast too, great sets, great music, great everything. You must go and watch this film. Although I will say I preferred Alphabet songs to Glinda's or the other ones, I just think the Alphabet songs were just particularly more touching and beautiful, and they spoke to me a little bit more than Glinda's or the other cast members. I find Alphabet songs in particular, they're quite beautifully cinematic, and I think that Glinda, although sometimes cinematic, I think Glinda is more movie comedic song rather than beautifully cinematic. But I wonder in part two, I haven't watched the play of it on Broadway, on theatre, anywhere, so I don't know. But in part two, I wonder, does Glinda get an actual solo emotional song? I wonder. I hope so. Wow, though, what a great opening this movie has. And how haunting to see Glinda set like the Alphabet statue on fire. Wasn't that really touching? And it was so good to see how Ariana played the role so like haunted and mournful, even though they're singing a song about no one mourning the wicked, and there's Glinda clearly mourning Alphaba. And she seemed so conflicted by this too, and that was also rather sad, especially at times when they broke into song about no one mourning the wicked and, you know, good people scorn the wicked. You can really see that Ariana is in her facial acting when they sing the line, no one mourns the wicked. She's kind of looking around like, but Alphaba wasn't wicked. Well, Alphaba isn't truly vile or evil. She's actually good, and nobody understands this. And of course, that's the great secret of Oz. Okay, but on that note, song-wise, weren't they amazing? Again, I've not actually seen any of the Broadway shows, so I don't know any of the songs. I did listen to one song, For Good. That's just come up on my playlist when I was listening to theatre music, and I was like, oh, this one's nice. But even that didn't make me want to go listen to the Wicked movie soundtrack. Well, not movie soundtrack, theatre production soundtrack songs. Yeah, wow, these were great songs. I think some more than others are more cinematic, obviously. They're just transferred, I think, over better. Like, there's me saying that like I've actually listened to the original soundtrack, because I haven't. But from just the Wicked movie, some you can tell are more theatre, and some you can tell are quite good on screen. I particularly found a cinematic moment from Alphabet to be when she sung I'm Not That Girl. And this particularly reminds me of Judy Garland, when Judy Garland has this zoom slow motion moment in Meet Me in St. Louis when she's singing The Boy Next Door. And there's this panning slow coming towards Alphabet. She looks wistfully and like out longingly, sort of Fiero. And obviously in the and when Judy Garland sings The Boy Next Door, she's wistfully looking at, I forget his name now, but the love interest of that film. So I thought, in that moment, I was like, wow, this is really like Judy Garland. And speaking of Judy Garland, she was obviously in The Wizard of Oz as Dorothy herself. So I think that it was quite lovely when they did that slow shot. It really actually pulled me into thinking, wow, this is a cinematic movie. And also, what a star Cynthia Erivo is. And speaking of Fiero, Jonathan Bailey, wow, he really was the it girl, wasn't he? Even though that was meant to be Ariana Grande's Glinda or Galinda. No, I think Jonathan Bailey, when he was on screen, I was like, wow, just about as amazed as the students were. And I was like, I understand Glinda and Alphaba. I understand both of you, why you would be like, oh, I want to get to know this person more. Jonathan Bailey was definitely friends with this movie's cinematographer, because I could tell you there was not one shot where he looked wrong or weird or out of whatever. He just looked amazing throughout. And he can sing, apparently. Who knew Mr. Anthony Bridgerton? He should take his wife for a spin around the dance floor. He should take Kate for a spin around the dance floor and then sing her a little song afterwards. Maybe in season 3 or 4 of Bridgerton. But speaking of this, though, I do forget his song. Now that it comes to mind, now that I'm reviewing it, I think I liked watching it, but I think I liked watching it because it was fun and like things were turning and there was loads of dancing on camera that was great to see. Plus, I liked watching Glinda spin around and dance with the students in amazement and in awe of the prince. And it was quite funny watching Alphaba like scorn him and be like and scoff and stuff. She was like, you're a prince and what? I think Alphaba's sister here, Nessa or Nessa, I think she was also really good here too. I like the line between Alphaba and her sister, the tragically beautiful, and then I think And that's one about Nessa, and I think then Alphaba goes, I'm beautifully tragic. And speaking of Nessero and her relationship, would-be wannabe relationship with Buck, the Munchkin man, I do think he was good, but at the same time I'm like, you're a little bit out of your lane there wanting Glinda or Glinda. I'm just like, you should probably learn your lane and stay with it. There's nothing wrong with Nessa, and I think those two are equally matched personality-wise. And this isn't this type of movie like a rom-com where the maybe less conventionally attractive person goes after the conventionally attractive person and then gets them. It's not that type of movie. Although in real life, I suppose it is, because I'm pretty sure the whole drama with Ariana Grande whilst filming this was that she was with him or he was with her whilst they were filming. Let's get into Glinda. I think her goons were really funny too. They were mean, and I guess that's the point, that they were meant to be mean. And they were definitely like yes men, which didn't help inflate Glinda's ego until they went a step too far for the ball when they were like, oh, this hat's ugly, and then they were like, I could I? And it's like, give it to Alphaba and make a joke out of Alphaba. But we'll get into that bit in a different section of this review. But for now, I'll talk about the goat teacher, Mr. Peter Dinklage. Interesting how he makes comments about the dwarf or little people community. I don't know what's politically correct to say about them. I think the little people sounds a bit more insulting than dwarf, really. Anyway, it's funny that he makes the comments about like stereotypes and perpetuating them in Hollywood, and therefore, little people can't be munchkins and they can't be dwarfs for Snow White. But then he's there taking absolutely every single role that he can. He's like, I'm gonna be in Hunger Games. Oh yeah, I'll be a goat for Wicked. I'll take all the roles from the little people community and have them for myself. He doesn't want any competition at all, and he bases it under like it's not good to go there. You shouldn't do that. We shouldn't stereotype. But then he's like, I'll take all the roles myself. So I don't know if that's smart on his part or what. But his goat teacher, I forget his name, but the goat teacher I did like. I warmed to the character. I think the CGI was actually believable, and it was kind of sad to see the teacher being treated like an animal. I know he is, but that's the whole point of Wicked, now that I know this, now that I've seen the movie. It was kind of sad to see the teacher be threatened, either by a student or pretty sure now that I've watched it, and this is a spoiler review, so I'll say it, I'm pretty sure it's the Mrs. Morrible. I think she was the one that put the threat on his little blackboard. But it was sad to see him dismiss the class. It was cute to see Alphaba, who also feels like an outcast, connect to the teacher, because nobody in the school likes her, and it would appear to her that nobody likes this goat because he's an animal. So it's nice to see them bond over that, and it was a believable connection between the two. And I was on Alphaba's side. I was like, yeah, why are we bullying this goat? He just seems like he wants to be there to teach you, like, back off. On that note, though, I love when she set off the poppies and put everyone to sleep in defense of the goat teacher. I should know his name, but he's going to be called the goat teacher in this review because I don't know his name. And it was interesting, actually, the poppies also put Glinda to sleep too. And of course, this was for her and Fiero to A, have a bonding moment, but B, they go and get the little baby lion, who I'm pretty sure is going to grow up to be the Cowardly Lion. That's who I'm thinking he's going to be. But it was nice to see them rescue him, and the Alphaba was like, no, we shouldn't be putting animals in cages, and he was all scared and cute and adorable, and then they rescued him. And of course, in the OG films and books, the poppies are used to put people to sleep, and here they did so wonderfully through Alphaba's magic. And also here, I think it's the poppies as well that we learn are something that Alphaba's dad gave to Alphaba's mum, back in Munchkin Town, to speed up the pregnancy, so that that Nessa wouldn't turn out green. That's what his thought process was, but he didn't realize by consuming these poppies you actually poison yourself slowly. So it ended up being that Nessero was a premature baby, and Nessero was a premature baby, and that it actually killed Alphaba's mum. So that dad is quite an evil character, really, isn't he? But it's interesting to build on the lore of what I already know as the poppies just put people to sleep. It's really interesting to see that they connected with Alphaba, and that it was not only her favourite flower, which is also really interesting, but the teachers. And speaking of evil people, the evil people in this movie, surprise, surprise, the Wizard of Oz, again, quite a few adaptations now has become the evil one, when he's meant to be good, and he's really just a charlatan, or smoke and mirrors and stuff. But also, Miss Morrible was also, or Madame Morrible, she was also evil. But I have to say, I think it was predictable that both Oz and Madame Morrible were evil. It was a bit too obvious, but I guess that's the point of an evil character sometimes. Within this kind of movie, traditionally in the Wizard of Oz film and book, it's the Wicked Witch of the West. You know, Elphaba, who's the evil one. So of course, in this movie, when we know that she's not the evil one because there's a backstory, there's obviously going to be other people who are evil at play, and the Wizard of Oz being one. Again, I say predictable because it is. Miss Marrable, though, or Madame Marrable, her name is literally horrible with an M. So how well covered up is that, really? Also, I think it is the wizard. Now, again, I haven't seen the play, so I don't know the storyline for part two. Whatever. I've seen like a little cheat sheet of Act Two, the songs that they do, and for Good is on there, which I'm looking forward to see. But I do think because I've like rewatched it in my head as you do, and I was like, oh, is that Jeff Goldblum who is singing with the Munchkin mum, which is Alphaba's mum? So is that him? Because when I listen to the soundtrack, because I've been obsessed now with listening to the soundtrack, I keep hearing it in the Wicked opening song, and I'm like, this sounds like Jeff Goldblum in singing as the Wicked as Oz when he's romancing the Elphba's mum. So, what does that mean potentially that it is actually that the Wizard of Oz is actually Elphaba's dad? That would be really interesting. And also, now that I think about it, in the OG film / books, a house drops on the Wicked Witch of the West's sister. So does this mean Nessa Rowe is going to die in part two? That would be so sad. That would explain a lot, at least as to why Elphaba will hate Dorothy and possibly Glinda. She blames Glinda for dropping a house on her sister. But back to Madame Morrible, I think she does play a good villain. Michelle Yeoh is once again being great as an actress on the screen, and I think that she can't do any wrong. I really enjoy watching her when she is on screen all the time. But it seems here that in Oz, if anybody's promising you anything, it actually turns out that they're a villain, and you should watch her and run for the hills. Well, this movie actually, I think, explores friendship beautifully between Galinda and Elphaba. Like, it was really funny and touching, and like really character bonding for us and the audience. I actually think when they did their Tell Me a Secret, and then Glinda's like big secret is like, she's like, I'm gonna marry Fiero one day, hee hee hee, and then she's like goes off and sulks when Elphaba's like, oh, I don't want to tell you about my secret, and then Glinda was like, but I told you a really good one, and then she's like, run run run, oh, collapse on the bed, and she's like looks back at Elphaba to see if Elphaba's gonna check on her, which of course she does because Elphaba's a nice person. And it was really nice that in this moment Elphaba opens up, and this kind of is the start of their friendship. And it was nice that Ariana's Glinda here kind of didn't scorn or make a joke of Elphaba's secret. She sort of supported her, and she was like, well, no, actually, this all seems like it was your dad's fault. She blames it on the puppies, though, which is interesting. She's like, it was the puppies' fault that your mum died. And I'm like, was it the puppies, or was it the person giving her the puppies? Also, wasn't it beautiful when they did their little wave to each other at the station? Oh my god, that almost got me. It was beautiful to see that. And they quickly followed it up with obviously Elphaba reading the note when Glinda's like, I hope all your dreams come true. And it's like, you guys' friendship's so beautiful. If you guys could just like get past this Wizard of Oz being the enemy thing, and scoot yourself around that, you really could be a team. I think, wouldn't it be lovely if Glinda did go with Elphaba when she asked her to come with her, but instead Glinda's like, no, that's okay, we've got a part 2 film coming, so I need to go and do some character development over here with these guys in part 2, so off you go, off you fly, become the villain of Oz. But their friendship truly was beautiful, and it was a joy to see on screen. Elphaba's visions too, how it's so sad that in her I Want song at the beginning of the film, she predicts a future, and she's actually looking at her own demise, not that she knows this, and she's like, one day all of us will celebrate me, and it's like, yeah, they will. Too bad is to celebrate your death, though, including Glinda setting that thing on fire. Oh, she was not happy about doing that. She was like, thank you, Munchkin, for this flame. Also in her visions, it kind of sets up part 2, I believe, where she has this vision of seeing like animals in cages, and the goat teacher, Peter Dinklage's goat teacher, is also in a cage in her vision. Although, wasn't it good in the trailer when I heard Jeff Goldblum's The Wizard of Oz say, we need what better to unite people than a common enemy? Now, I thought he was talking about Elphaba in the trailer, but instead he's actually talking about, in that moment, at least in the film, he's talking about the animals. He's like, let's make people be afraid of these animals. Let's have them be the common enemy for the people, the humans, to unite. And then, of course, in part 2, I guess that's going to then change to give him a good enemy. Let's give him Elphaba, because at the end of the film, they announced somehow to all of Oz that Elphaba is wicked, and she's betrayed the Wizard of Oz, and everybody should go after her and kill her. But on that note, I think Elphaba, because she's like connected to the animals, and she's connected to the land, and she has true magic. She's one of the only beings that actually do have proper magic. But I'm not sure what this says about Oz, that somebody born of cheating and deceit is the most connected person to Oz, getting visions, having true magic, connecting to the animals on a deeper level, actually wanting to be good. But yeah, I don't know what that says about Oz, that the person who's most connected to its world is someone born wicked. However, this movie is obviously emotional, and I can now understand why Cynthia and Ariana have been crying so much during their tour. I mean, I didn't cry in the cinema watching it. I know loads of people have. In fact, a few people in my screening were also crying at the end. And one woman in particular I heard at the end saying, "Oh, wow, I didn't expect that to be so emotional, make me so emotional." And I was like, me too, except for I didn't cry. And specifically emotional for this film, the ball scene after they play that wicked joke on, forgive my pun, when they play that wicked joke on Elphaba with the hat, and then they're like, yeah, wear this, just after Elphaba allowed Glinda to be involved in the lessons with her and Madame Marble so that she can become a sorcerer or whatever. The fact that Glinda was so willing to make a fool out of Elphaba in the moment she was being so kind and nice to her says a lot. And I think watching in silence, because it was all very silent, the scene where Elphaba dances after being made a fool of, I think it was such a good decision to have that be a silent dance. It really made this moment stand out from a film that is constantly music and talking and beautiful. For this to be so silent really kind of conveyed the sadness of this scene, especially since Elphaba was crying, which was really sad because she's not, she always puts on a strong front, as loads of people do in real life, put on a strong front, but to actually let it go in front of people. And I think this is where the friendship, obviously, between Glinda and Elphaba happens, because Glinda just happens to see how bad this joke really backfired. And whilst the goons are like, hee, laughing, Glinda, is actually feeling what I believe is empathy for the first time in her life, and she's like, yeah, this joke didn't go so good, also I just got a wand, like a fake one, to be on the lessons that Elphaba got me, and this is how I'm treating her as a joke in front of everyone. And then when she started dancing too, and this was really big for Glinda, obviously, her whole thing is about being popular and not being made fun of, and then she's going to do this dance, knowing full well it could make her unpopular, but she still does the dance with Elphaba, and then Elphaba cries, and Ariana's there to pick her up, and it was beautiful, really emotional. Then they go into the secret bonding, and then they have the little wave, because that's part of their dance. It was beautiful, so emotional. And I only wonder now, actually, after seeing part one of this wicked film, I wonder now just how devastated Glinda actually will be at the death of Elphaba, because she does announce it, obviously, and it's like her friend. I feel like in part two they're still going to be friends. They wish each other well at the end of this first one, so I would be very surprised if they're like actually enemies. I feel like Oz and Madame Marble are going to set her up as Glinda, because she still hasn't got any magic, as we know. If you pay attention to the movie, she doesn't have any magic in the whole of the film, and Miss Marble says, or Madame Marble says that, you haven't got any magic, you've got no talent, but prove me wrong. Of course, she arrives in a bubble at the beginning of the film, but did anybody spot when she steps on the pad and then creates the bubble? It's quite funny. It seems really big people in this Wicked's world of Oz. It's a lot of smoke and mirrors, and isn't it interesting how Glinda too is smoke and mirrors? Like, she's not real, she doesn't have any power. She's probably been guided down in a bubble, which was made by probably Oz, and guided down by Madame Marble to make her look like a witch, a good witch, because of course if they're announcing Elphaba's bad, then you must have someone good for everyone to rally behind. And Madame Marble and Oz are surely going to do their best to make Glinda look like she actually does have magic, when in fact she does not. And I found that really interesting, really good. Also, I found this film to be quite poignant. At times, it was very topical, really. It explored themes of, obviously, skin colour and racism through Elphaba's character. There's a line in the I Want song about people being obsessed with the colour of her skin. And of course, this kind of reflects, Black African culture and how they've been viewed in society, but also kind of other races as well that have been gone through racism. And I think to some degree, without being too political, most races have experienced racism from another part of the human race, or enslavement or something like that. So I think it's quite topical as well, especially in this day and age when it's still being talked about quite a lot. And also quite topical too, how the goat teacher has a lesson on history and everyone's like, what's the point of learning about history? And the goat teacher's like, well, it's really good so that we don't repeat ourselves. And how interesting is that this film's coming out in 2024, whilst World War III, at least in Europe, is, and probably America too, is looming. You know, World War III, there's wars happening all over the place, and it's like, yeah, guys, we probably should crack open a history book and maybe not send everyone to war, you know. But without getting too political and downtrodden, this is a film, it is a good film, it's a wicked, it's a cinema experience. Let's keep it all happy and enjoyable. So let's get back into the review as a sidetrack. But I did want to point out that I do think it's quite poignant, this film. However, keeping things positive, as I say, the film has lots of funny moments. Ariana Grande is hysterical as Glinda, or Galinda, in this movie. The song Popular in particular had me laughing out loud quite a few times in the cinema. And also, a lot of people in the screening I was in was laughing. My friend, too, was laughing almost every time Ariana spoke. She's a great comedic actress. Even Alphabet at times was very funny as well. But I think Ariana really gave a beautiful performance as Glinda, and I'm so excited to see the return. Well, I'm going to watch it again, probably a few times, because I have like an unlimited cinema pass, so I'm definitely going to be watching this film maybe 2 or 3 more times. However, I think the concept that the Wicked Witch, or Alphaba being good, and then Oz, the Wizard of Oz, even him being bad. That's kind of been done before. We've seen this in Once Upon a Time, and also we've seen it in The Great and Powerful Oz. But I feel like here they managed to make it feel new and engaging and also heartfelt. Because even though the play has come out before The Great and Powerful Oz and also Once Upon a Time, I definitely think that the play, based on the book, which I didn't know until I did some research into this movie and the theatre show, is based on the book itself. So I think that definitely Once Upon a Time and The Great and Powerful Oz must have read these books to be like, yeah, okay, we're going to make the wizard actually bad and the Wicked Witch explore it. They do explore it in The Great and Powerful Oz because Alphaba's character... I don't think they call her Alphaba. I'm not sure. They might do, but they kind of explore her as to why she became evil. Because they start her out as good looking, until the wickedness comes out of her again. So it kind of explores that. And in Once Upon a Time, of course, the Wicked Witch, what they call her, Zelina. Her name was Zelina. They obviously explored Zelina so well and in depth in Once Upon a Time. And again, it was like, she's not actually wicked. She was forced into being wicked and green because of jealousy of Regina. So again, these things are not new, but somehow in Wicked, they make it feel new and engaging and exciting. Also lovely here was Indina and Kristen, obviously, who played the original Broadway Glinda and Alphaba. They have a moment too in this film where they're singing in the city of Oz. The Emerald City. They're singing in the Emerald City, kind of doing a backstory on how this world came to be. So that was lovely to actually see both of those two in their respective roles alongside the new ones. But to wrap up this review, I shall say the production here is massive. Most of the things you see are actually real and part of a set design, including the poppy field in Munchkin City. It did look like CGI in the trailer, but it wasn't. They actually planted, I believe, 9,000 poppies in England, and they built the actual town of Munchkin City, as well as the train that is built, is not fake, and also some of the sets for Oz, and the Emerald City, that was also real too. And obviously Shiz, they built the whole entrance for Shiz and the corridors and stuff. They fully did a real production on this to make it feel as real as possible. And so that needs to be shouted out because that is such dedication. Everyone working on this has such dedication to not only the Wizard of Oz original book and the Wicked play, but just the whole, everybody seems to have such a passion and it really shines through, which is why it will probably be the best film of this year, because everyone's got such a good passion for it. And it's probably also going to win some Oscars and Golden Globes when the award season happens shortly for everybody. Back now over December to March, I believe, is all award season. So no doubt Ariana, Cynthia, and probably a lot of production awards and stuff will come out from this film, and deservedly so. It's beautiful. And to finish this review, I cannot not talk about that Defying Gravity song, the very famous and maybe infamous song thanks to a certain TikToker, but you cannot talk about it. Well, you cannot not do a review and not talk about it, especially since I have seen the Defying Gravity song online, and I believe they put Alphabet like on a box, like a blackout box, and they have this really long black cape flowing on stage, and to see that transitioned into a cinematic just to see it as a cinematic piece with Alphabet, with Glinda giving her the massive cloak, and then it's not really a cloak, it's like some sort of curtain, I believe, or something, and the way that Alphabet just flies and has it like cascading down from her, like very angelic, while she sings about, the fact she's going to embrace being the Wicked Witch of the West or whatever. She left this film with a bad taste in her mouth, and I can't wait to see her go a little bit more wicked. And to be fair, I don't know the ending of whatever the Wicked show is, but I so hope that just as Glinda and the Wizard of Oz are smoke and mirrors, I hope this is what, the bucket of water thing that normally melts the Wicked Witch. I hope this is just like propaganda so that the people of Oz feel safe that she's died, and that Alphaba somehow manages to escape with her life and she's not actually dead, and Glinda's like maybe shoehorned her into agreeing to be dead, like go into hiding or something until it all blows over. You know, I hope she survives. I hope she doesn't die, because that would really, really be sad. Part two. Actually, this movie was emotional, but I didn't cry. But if I have to see Alphaba die, maybe there will be a tear shed. Also, I think in the Defying Gravity song, it was hard to get into the song because they paused so much. Because they were setting up all our narrative. For part two, Glinda going off with Madame Marable and the Oz. Obviously, Elphaba runs off, and we did see the Nessera and Bok at 1.2, but as I say, just from knowing the Wizard of Oz source material, does this mean Nessa is going to have a house dropped on her? that would be unfortunate. She's already had a tough enough life, I would say. And alright, that is my review of Wicked Part 1. I cannot wait for Part 2. Did you enjoy this movie? Do you think it's going to win loads of awards? Is this your film of the year? Because it's definitely mine at the moment. We'll see. We still got a few films left. Moana 2 ain't going to be it. No offense, Moana 2. Probably Sonic the Hedgehog 3 is not going to be the best film of the year either. For me, as much as I like all these different movies and stuff. But yeah, alright. Okay, I'm going to go now. I'm going to shut up and stop talking before this edit becomes way too long for me. Okay, I'll see you in the next, I was going to say episode, but we're not doing a TV series review here. I'll see you in the next review. Bye.